Listen, I obviously think the Rams should bring him back, but the more interesting part of the conversation is the second part, which what teams would Stafford make an instant contender? So I'm going to give two answers. They'll be unpopular. People get mad at me, but everyone in their heart will know I'm correct. The first one is the San Francisco 49ers. They would get better at a spot. They are in a win-now mode. They have already, they've paid guys. They have an old roster. Trent Williams probably going into his last year. We don't know how much time Christian McCaffrey has left. It would be... Obviously, Purdy is a longer-term bet, but I think right now, this moment, Matt Stafford would be the best quarterback Shanahan's ever had and give you the best chance to finally get over the hump. The other one is, I don't know if people get mad about this, but again, the question is, are you valuing the future of the right now, is Minnesota. Was that what you were going to say, Brew?
Yeah.
Your reaction was like I took it from you.
Yeah, no. Well, first I was going to say, first of all, last time we saw Stafford, he fumbles in a playoff game and costs his team the game. I didn't jump on Nick when this happened a few weeks ago. Now I got to bounce. No, but those are my two teams.
Really?
Now
you had the Niners on there?
Yeah, look, I like Purdy, obviously, and I don't think they're necessarily moving on. But Stafford, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback and all that.
I thought you were going to kill me for that.
Well, the team I got no question, is Minnesota. Like, he goes there with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, Hopkins. Like, at that defense, their only problem this year was their quarterback melted down in the big games. With Stafford, they're great. Now, if I'm the Niners, I'm fine sticking with Purdy. But Stafford...
Oh, I thought you'd get mad about that.
Nah, for that move, Stafford would be fine.
I got an interesting team. I feel like because of where this team is located, he would make them a contender, specifically in their division, and then if they get in the dance, we would see what magic he can create. But the Indianapolis Colts, you said, this is a team that they don't know where they...
In a dome. Good for Stafford.
So super familiar in that division. It would... I'm not saying it would be up for grabs. Obviously, Houston's the team that they would have to dethrone. But it's not – the Colts have been right there knocking at the door. The last 2 years, it's been the quarterback play that's let them down. If you get a guy like Matthew Stafford, you feel pretty secure. I know the Colts fans are like, don't do it. We tried it with Matt Ryan already.
Tried it with Phillip Rivers.
Exactly. But Matthew Stafford, I feel like he could actually impact that team.
He might help Richardson, too. Maybe give him – But here's my question. For the division, I agree with you totally. What about the AFC?
Yeah,
do you actually think they would be have a chance to
That's the issue. Everybody in the AFC is having issues.
This is not mine. But I saw Rappaport's report, and I like to read the comments,
Of course.
Keep my finger on the pulse. And I saw this, and I said, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Rams should trade Matthew Stafford to the Lions.
I said this
for Jared Goff.
I literally said this.
I love this. The Lions could use a slight upgrade, want to win now. The Rams have a young team, could use a quarterback in the future and some draft picks. I thought this was brilliant. You said this already, Greg?
I said it's a Ramsey in our.
By the way.
Ramsey, did he really say that or no?
I think it actually makes sense.
I know, I love
except for the fact that Sean McVay is not reuniting with Jared Goff.
I know, it's just a fun
But do you think, I hear you, he obviously made the trade, but he's probably looking at Goff like he's gotten better.
Maybe, but I feel like I almost should be able to take a show victory lap right now because both of these guys, after all year, every Mahomes mountain, all they want to do is drop down Stafford. We've got Bruce saying, obviously be an upgrade over Purdy. We have Wild saying, obviously be an upgrade over Goff.
I thought it was an interesting little twist of fate.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he's better than Jared Goff.
Well, then why would – so he's older and not better, so why is it even on the board?
I just liked it.
Well, why?
I just thought it was cute.
See, look at these guys.
It's a nice –
Okay. That's the end of the segment. Okay. This is actually a little bit more fun conversation to have. I'm just trying to think of the best way to kind of like funnel it. The reality is I think Matthew Stafford will make virtually every team better. Outside of obviously the teams that have like true legit top quarterbacks. I think every single team out there. The Dallas Cowboys would be better. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be better. The Atlanta Falcons would be better. The 49ers would be better. The what's the other team? I'm thinking of what was the other team that Nick said? Oh, the Minnesota Vikings. And again, this is where I'm just kind of like, right. The problem with the Minnesota Vikings was not Sam Darnold falling apart in these games. Sam Darnold was left on an island, and I stand by that. And I'm not going to rehash that game. Was Sam Darnold amazing? No, but it's not like if you just threw in Matthew Stafford there that they magically would have won those games. Sam Darnold was just under duress, just nonstop in those final 2 games, and Kevin O'Connell did not do a good enough job to support him, and I stand by that. And there's no guarantee that Stafford would have done better in that situation, because when the Eagles went after Stafford, what happened? He fumbled the ball, he took sacks, and the game was lost. So quarterbacks like Stafford also really, really, really need to be protected, and you got to give them You got to give them moves when you're just being kind of attacked and harassed, play after play, drive after drive. But the biggest problem with Stafford is his age. So if we're just looking at it in terms of we know that Matthew Stafford will be healthy, and we know that Matthew Stafford will be just as good as he was this past season as he will be the next season, then I do think universally, if you give him a good enough team and a good enough coach, he'll be special. I truly do think that Matthew Stafford is a special quarterback. I've talked about this a lot recently, just because, again, it's his age and where he spent so much time in Detroit, et cetera, et cetera. I do think that Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. I don't really think that that's really that, controversial. And so, yeah. But again, I don't think, though, that if you put Matthew Stafford on the Detroit Lions, and now they would have automatically beat the Washington Commanders. I don't know if that's necessarily true either. I think there was a lot of issues at the tail end of that season for the Detroit Lions, of course, defensively as well. But I think it's just kind of, it is kind of a fun little thought experiment, or the idea that Stafford, and if this was like a Disney Channel movie, man, it would be. Stafford goes back to the Lions, he wins a Super Bowl with them, and they're all like, oh God, this is amazing, this is beautiful. And, what's his name? Jared Goff goes back to LA and wins a Super Bowl with them. That's actually perfect, storybook ending, right? Everything goes full circle. Stafford gets to win with his team that he abandoned, and Jared Goff gets to win a Super Bowl with a team that abandoned him. So it's just, I don't know. I actually, from a narrative and just kind of an interesting soap opera type kumbaya story, which even I can be a little sensitive to, especially once you start interacting with little kids and want to see everything just be all happy and cheery like any of their movies that they watch and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's a sweet little story. I'd like to see that unfold. But then the more realist, version of me is like, nah, that's not the way this works, man. That's not happening. But it could be interesting. But no, I don't think it's really that controversial either to say that Stafford would make the 49ers better. And again, it's not an indictment on Brock Purdy either. I've defended Purdy a lot as well. It's really just I think there is an underappreciation for how great Matthew Stafford is. The dude can ball. The dude can absolutely ball. And I think if he was 26, 27, 28, it would be, I think it would be without a shadow of a doubt, people would be like, it's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and then it would be Stafford, Burrow. That's what it would be like. He would just be in that category. Boom. Top 4, top 5. Boom. And there might be even people that say, I'm taking I'm taking Stafford over Allen or Lamar. Then it would be the whole debate of Allen can do more, Lamar can do more. Then you're kind of in that whole conversation of do you want a quarterback that's more mobile? Do you want a quarterback that can throw more? They've had those conversations throughout this season in terms of who would you rather have, Lamar or Burrow. And both Nick and Greg, for that matter, talked about that they'd rather have Burrow. So it's just, I think that's where Stafford would be. But because he's older, because he's at the tail end of his career, because he's dealt with some injuries, because the Rams team has been inconsistent from just an injury perspective and health. And, I think it's been hard for a casual fan. I don't mean that in a negative way, but just a more general fan, I think, to properly evaluate just how great Matthew Stafford is. I really am a firm believer in that, but it is, I think the Rams should keep Stafford, because I don't know if they moved on from him. I don't really know if they have anyone really in waiting, or if then they would have to draft, or if they're going to make a play for a Sam Darnold. Again, that is the benefit of having a Sean McVay. You have a great offensive head coach who's going to be able to be great and maximize any quarterback that you have. So even if you were saying, hey, you know what? I love what Sam Darnold did with Kevin O'Connell. You don't have to question, will Sean McVay be able to maximize Sam Darnold? If anything, maybe get even more out of Sam Darnold than, say, a Kevin O'Connell. That's possible. Or if he's like, you know what? No, that's great what he did with Kevin O'Connell. That's still not what I want. You can trust that that is, without a shadow of a doubt, the right opinion. Or if he's like, you know what, we got to move on from Matthew Stafford. He's just getting too old, and it's just not what I want to do with this team right now. Again, you could trust it. Or if he says, you know what, Matthew Stafford still has a lot of juice left. I absolutely can still win with him. We just need to boost up this and this and this and this. Then it's like, great, I trust it. It's the absolute number one benefit of having an awesome offensive head coach, because you know exactly what you need to do and who to trust when making the most important decision for your team, which is, what do I do at the quarterback position? It can't be understated the how valuable and important that is. And that if you don't have that coach, then you're kind of constantly being like, I don't know, is it a coach issue? Is it a quarterback issue? Is it a risk to go out and get this, that, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know how this became a story. I guess maybe just because it was just reported that Stafford plans to play next season. I didn't know that was in question, honestly. I was not under the impression that he was not going to play. And I thought it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that it was going to be with the Rams. But again, I'm not up to date with everyone's kind of contract situation or how that, what actually practically would need to happen. But this season was obviously a mess for the Rams because of all of the injuries, and yet still seemingly pretty good. Had a chance to obviously beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, could have gone to the NFC Championship game. They would have hosted the NFC Championship game, which would have been wild. You would have loved they would have had legit chance against the Washington Commanders. I don't know if you could say that the Washington Commanders would be favored to win that game. It would probably have been closer than it was for the Eagles, but again, who really knows? And then again, before you know it, the Rams could have been in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's just like, it's just kind of crazy how when you don't score at the end of the game, you just go home compared to potentially playing in the Super Bowl. Like it's millimeters, not even inches, it's millimeters. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Matthew Stafford? Do you think the Rams should consider bringing him? Or do you think the Rams should bring him back? Or, where else do you think Matthew Stafford, could go that would make them an instant contender? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.